Welcome back, everyone, to After the Scales, presented by DJD Graphics, episode 65. I'm Jacob Dove with Phenom Motorsports, along with Shaun Blight with Canadian Racing Tours. On today's episode, we have Zach Hampton out of Plainfield, Indiana, driver of the number 6 Bill Rose Racing Sprint Car. Zach, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So, Zach, you're a World of Outlaws Rookie of the Year contender, starting out the year strong. You're currently sitting 14th in the point standings, behind a couple of other Rookie of the Year competitors. Just talk to us about that strong start that you've some people have been talking online about, how strong that 6 car is.
Yeah, we've definitely had some good runs. We've had some runs that were just not really our fault, or we're worse than we probably should have been, and some others where we just weren't 100%. So it's definitely a big learning curve. But I think we've got speed, and I feel like I've done a pretty good job of not wrecking it every week, and we just got to keep being consistent, and better results will hopefully continue to come.
So it was right after Chili Bowl, I think, that it got announced, Zach. How did this deal come about for you?
So it actually came about like at Chili Bowl. Yeah. So probably a week or two before Chili Bowl, I'd already decided like I was going to sell 90% of my stuff. I was going to keep one car, one motor, and a few spares, and I was just going to build an open trailer, and I'd go to 10 or 12 races, and I bought a dry ice blasting. I bought it from Hunter Schoenberg, and that's what I was going to do. And Bill was actually going to buy my mule and a few other things. And that was like, I don't know, a couple of weeks before Chili Bowl, and I was on my way down there, and I called him, and I knew that he maybe wasn't going to be cleared. And so I called him, and I was like, hey, if you don't get cleared for Volusia, maybe we can work something out, and I can take some money off the price for the mule and the other stuff you were going to get, and I could run Volusia. And he's like, yeah, I'll think about it. And so once he called me like that morning and asked me if I wanted to do it, I called some of my sponsors and tried to figure out what I could get together. And then I took the next few days, the rest of Chili Bowl, and like Sunday and Monday when I got back, and just kind of talked to some people that have done it, and people that I kind of trust their opinions and see. I mean, I just basically just decided I was ready, to kind of hang it up. And then now I've got this at my feet, and I wasn't really sure what to do. And, I decided to do it, and I called them Tuesday after Chili Bowl, and I think it came out Thursday or Friday of that week. So, I mean, it all really, from the time he asked me to the time I said yes, it was about a week. And it was only a few days after I'd asked him if he'd want me to run in Florida. So it all came together really, really quick. But I'm glad it did.
And Zach, you've always been kind of a very hands-on driver, working on your own stuff for over the years. And how's it been transitioning from now running for a car owner like Bill Rose, who has a lot of experience behind the wheel, very accomplished driver, but he's taken that step back since that injury. So how's it been, being a part of the Bill Rose racing team now? You still get to be hands-on with the car, and now you have a teammate in Connor Morell to kind of feed stuff off of.
Yeah, it's been a really hard transition, really, because I'm not hands-on with the car so much. I mean, the night we blew up a rear end, it's Bill, and then we've got Kevin Engel full-time, and we've been looking for another crew guy, full-time guy, but we haven't found the right guy yet. And so, I mean, when stuff like that goes wrong, I'm definitely hands-on, or can be, but the normal operations, I'm not working on it. That was kind of part of me and Bill's deal. He wanted me to focus on driving the car and being rested, and all those things. So it's been difficult, especially from the standpoint of being my own crew chief. And now, it's Bill, and we've got different cars and different motors and different shocks, and so much of it is so different. I feel like we've both transitioned well. I mean, we still have a lot of room to be better, but some of the stuff has happened quicker than I thought. But the getting out of the car, not oversharing information with Bill, or not saying what I think I would do to the car and just giving him what I felt has been difficult. And I've done a good job some nights, and other nights not so good. And we talk about what we could have done better every night, and some nights that's my thing is I needed to have less input and not get him kind of messed up or make him second guess himself. So it's definitely weird for both of us, but I'm doing my best to make that transition and just focus on the driving aspect.
Do you find that's made a difference, like that you can just focus on the driving? Do you think it's helping you as a driver, I guess, is what I'm asking?
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, if it's so much, it helps that I don't have the other stuff to think about. And it helps that I'm better well rested. I'm not up at 8 a.m. maintenancing when my job doesn't start till 5:30 p.m. I'm able to get up at 10 or 11 and start my day later and be more alert and rested when the night comes. But I think a lot of it is just the mental side of I'm able to, even though it's tough, I can go, that's out of my control. There's no point in even thinking about those things. All I can do is whatever I can do on the track. And I think that has lifted a lot off my shoulders and helped me be, I don't even think faster or better on the track other than just in the sense of I'm making better decisions or I can react quicker because I'm not thinking, when I'm driving my own stuff, I'm out there trying to race and I'm thinking about what I could have done to make the car better. And now I don't have that. All I have to think about is what can I do from a driving standpoint to make this thing get around quicker. And that takes a huge weight off my shoulders for sure.
And would you say, you've been used to having yourself be on your own and having a teammate in Con Morrell who we've had on this podcast, and I've grown up watching him down here in Florida, young gun racer. Would you say that you guys are kind of bouncing off, things as far as setup goes, or you guys kind of set in your own ways? Because I noticed when I was at Volusia watching you guys, the cars are parked next to each other, but Connor's over there working on his own car with his crew guys. You're over by your car. Or are you guys giving any feedback at the end of the night?
Yeah, I mean, Connor and I specifically are not. Bill is doing a lot of the setup on both, and maybe not even necessarily making the changes, but making the decisions on what we're doing. So I would say for sure Bill is keeping track, or knows what both cars are doing and aren't doing. But Connor's stuff is his equipment, and we're on different brand of frames, different length. He's got different shocks. He's got a different motor in right now. So a lot of it doesn't necessarily even translate from one to the other.
So you guys have shown some pretty good speed in a few races this year, Zach. What's Bill's been the underdog kind of racer here for a long time, working on his own stuff with minimal help. What do you guys need to do to kind of take that next step as a team where you're contending for top tens kind of on a regular basis?
I think right now our biggest two hurdles is Bill's got some nice motors. He's also got some that will run at small tracks because they aren't going to be competitive at a half mile, and that's okay. I think if we had a more stout engine program, or like where we had 5 or 6 instead of them all being different, they were all the exact same. That can make a huge effect on how a car handles. Like just changing the motor can make a huge impact on that. So I think that's, I would say probably our second biggest hurdle right now. But the biggest, I think, is just getting more prepared, not necessarily for when the night goes good or, when everything's running smoothly, but when things don't go well or, something breaks. We had a night a bleeder broke and it was right before the feature and we didn't have the spares ready. So, that's something that we hadn't really thought about. And now we know, and now we always have the second set ready so that it can just get popped in. But, it's just a preparedness thing, especially it's still just being Bill and Kevin. It's a ton of work, especially when you're going to run 84, 86 races in a year. And we've just got to get, and we are getting, more organized. I told Bill before the year, and when we were still talking about me doing it, that I wanted us to make one thing better every night. whether that be a trailer cabinet better organized, or, you know, a part on the race car better, or whatever. Like, if we could make one thing better every night, then, you know, we'll be that much closer at the end of the year. And, you know, that's been our focus so far. And there's still going to be nights where we struggle, but I think we have the speed, and we're going to go into a pretty tough swing here the next few weeks. And, you know, I think we'll have a better idea of where we gauge against everybody. You know, we've had 30, 35 car fields, but we're probably going to have 40 and 50 car fields, and Central PA and Knoxville, and, you know, the high limit guys. And it's going to give us a pretty good idea of where we're at.
I really like. Sorry, Jacob. I was going to say that one thing better every night. I really like that. I like that attitude. That's cool. That mindset.
Yeah, I mean, that was my biggest saying to me, that I struggled with, or, you know, was contemplating when agreeing to do it, is I feel like last year and maybe even a little bit the year before, doing it on my own, I quit enjoying it as much as I used to. You know, it was so much, I had so much stress on myself. You know, I didn't really have outside pressure, but I felt like I kind of put that on me. You know, sponsors and, you know, obviously my family wants to see me do good, and people who have helped me, you know, prior. And I needed to reset. And I promised myself I was going to have a better mindset, be more positive, and all those things. So I'm really trying to hold myself to that, and just every night's a new night, and, you know, try to get better every week.
And really, other than kicking off the season at Volusia, we've seen a lot of World Outlaws races have really slicked off racetracks. With the remainder of the schedule, looking forward to some big events, what do you think are some tracks that really suit your style of racing that you think you can do really well at?
Pevely's one. I've just always been pretty quick there. So I'm really looking forward to next weekend, and I haven't even looked at the weather, but hopefully we get them both in. And, you know, Knoxville, I ran full time last year, locally, and we got pretty good. I made the Cappy last year, and I got going around there pretty good. And, you know, a little bit of that is going to be a pill draw deal when you get a 30 car flight and a place blows off quick. And if you go at the back of your flight, you know, it's pretty tough to time in well, but I know that I'm capable, and, you know, could make the show under the right conditions. And, Eldora, I've been pretty good at. You know, I've had a few not great runs, but for the most part, I feel like I'm usually pretty solid to at least make the show. And, Jacksonville's another place, between those two, Eldora and Knoxville, that, I've ran top 5 a lot there. So I'm looking forward to that. And Hobstadt, I'm trying to be positive about, but I'm not a fan of the place. So, and then, you know, we have PA, and I've had some good runs out there, and I've had some pretty tragic runs out there. So, I'm definitely looking forward to going to tracks that I've been to, because so far we've ran 13 nights, and I've been to Volusia once prior to this year. And 8 of those nights were brand new tracks to me. So it'll be good to go somewhere that I'm not even necessarily comfortable or whatever, but I at least know the racetrack.
All right. So selfishly, as the Canadian here, I do want to ask you about Ohsweken, because we haven't had a 410 race in Canada since before COVID. I think it was 2018. And that was the All-Stars. I know Johnny Gibson said that Ohsweken's one of his favorite tracks. And there's probably only like a small handful of you guys that have ever like crossed the border to race before. Is that like a track that you've, I don't know, seen a lot of, or kind of thought about heading to?
I've not seen a lot of it. I mean, I've been watching some videos, and I've seen it race, you know, back in the day when I was younger. You know, and I've watched a few videos knowing that we're going to go there. And I'm definitely excited. You know, it's not something that has happened in a while, and like you said, a lot of us haven't got to. So it's definitely going to be cool to get to go do that. And who knows what will happen if they go back next year or don't. And even though I just said I'm ready to go to tracks that I've been to, I love racing, you know, new tracks. It's fun. You know, I think Ohsweken's a place I could say maybe wasn't on my bucket list, but I'm excited to get to go. It looks like a place that I would enjoy to race at.
Yeah, I can tell you, I'll just jump in real quick, Jacob. I can tell you firsthand how excited not only the fans are up here, but the drivers. Like, I know there's a bunch of 360 guys up here that race every Friday. There's a few of them that have got 410s that have never raced 410s that are excited to go up against you guys. And the camping and the ticket sales are going crazy. So it's going to be a rabid fan base up here that people are really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's nothing, I love racing in central Pennsylvania for that reason. There's nothing better than getting to go race, and there just being a ton of fans and the atmosphere being a little bit electric. That's half of the fun of racing sprint cars is that atmosphere. So that's exciting to hear.
And for race fans that might not know Zach, kind of share how you came up to get into racing, maybe some drivers that you looked up to when you were younger. I know growing up in Indiana, I'm sure you had a lot of role models, a lot of drivers to look up to. So kind of share your involvement and how you came into be a sprint car driver.
Yeah, so I started racing quarter midgets when I was 5. And I did that up until I was about 11. I would say back then, at least till I was 10 or 11, I wasn't really watching the World of Outlaws and sprint cars so much. I was still just a kid. And but I watched quite a bit of NASCAR, and like Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart were definitely my favorite too. Jeff Gordon grew up racing at the track I ran quarter midgets at, and Tony Stewart. So and then I went to micros, ran micros for a bit. When I was 14, 15, we got a midget. Actually, me and Christopher Bell went and bought my first midget, just us two. And I ran those for a couple years, probably 20 times a year. When I was 17, I ran a 305 for a guy, wing 305 here in Indiana. And I did that 3-4 times, and they broke a motor, and it just kind of all fell apart. And while I was doing that, my dad was kind of tired. We traveled the country and raced and all that. And he had sold our midgets. So I kind of went 3-4 years where I hardly raced. And when I was 19, I was working full time, going through the apprenticeship to be a union electrician. And I bought a roller from Brian Paulus. And then I was driving a 360 for a guy. And I put his motor in my car a couple times. 2019, I bought a Dash 12 410. Finally got to go race in late April, and blew it up in hot laps. Like, it was a non-wing motor, and it didn't like the wing. So I went like 3 months where I didn't race, or 2 months. And I talked my dad into buying an all-pro from Brad Loyette. I picked it up Sunday before nationals. I'd class for the apprenticeship Monday, got home from class, put that thing in, didn't know how to run the fuel lines. Like, there was a few other things I had no idea how to do. Loaded everything up on an open trailer and went to the 2019 Knoxville Nationals. And Brian Paulus helped me put the fuel lines on and finish up the last couple things. And that was my first race. And then I've spent, the last 4 or 5 years kind of building my program up and gaining some funding, and started doing it full time in 22. And then now I've kind of sold most of my stuff and racing for Bill.
That's a hell of a first race, man. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I ballparked it. I had no idea what dirty air was, so I followed a guy in on the top and just caught a push and got the wall. It really wasn't that bad, but I definitely flipped. So yeah, and then I just kind of built up from there and been trying to race as much as I can.
All right, so before we wrap up, I did want to give your merch a shout out here. So you're in your brand new merch trailer. You've got a couple shirts behind you. Tell us what people can expect when you're going to have everything kind of up and running.
So I'm hoping, or I should be at Peevely. I'm getting the Shopify finished set up, and I've got the stuff I need to be able to do at track sales. This is the first design. I've got some, like, I made a new Zach Hampton logo. I can't really use my 3.5 racing one anymore. I've got some shirts coming with that. I've got some hats, koozies, some mini wing boards, and then I've got 2 more designs coming. And then I'll have a 4th that's kind of just a PA design that I'll have for Lincoln and Williams Grove. So I'm going to try to cycle as much as I can, but I don't know, not 100% sure yet how much I'll sell, but I'm going to try to keep doing as many designs as I can. And I've got some cups, like Stanley style cups, come in and try to do the basics. But I really want to, once I get going, I want to do some stuff that's maybe a little bit different and stuff that maybe I like or whatever. So hopefully I'll have the Shopify store up by Peevely as well. I do know, because I've started it, it'll be, I want to say it's Zach Hampton dot myshopify.com, but the link will be in all my bios. And like I've got a QR code that I made that'll go to all that stuff and will be on there as well. So gonna try to get it, spent the money to buy this and spending money on merch. So trying to get it up and running as quickly as I can so I can at least have some money coming back.
We'll be sure to share all that stuff once you get it up and running, man. And I know Jacob and I, like, we don't have enough race shirts, so I know you'll have a couple customers here with us. Yeah, before we let you go, Zach, we always wrap up with our rapid gear, DJD gear rapid fire segment. We've got 10 questions for you that Jacob's going to fire off. So Jacob, go ahead.
So Zach, the first question I have for you is, what's the most challenging track you've ever raced on?
Knoxville.
And between the wing sprint car, non-wing sprint car, and the midget, which discipline has been the most enjoyable to race?
Wing sprint car.
Who would win in an arm wrestling match, you or Connor Morrell?
Oh, I have no idea. Probably Connor.
What's the best thing to do in Plainfield, Indiana?
Golf.
What's your favorite Indiana sports team?
I don't really watch, I guess. Yeah, I don't watch sports really. If it doesn't have wheels, I'm not really paying attention.
What's a song right now that gets you pumped up on race day?
Ooh. Oh, man, there could be so many. I would say right now I play a lot of Lincoln Park on race day.
Okay. And which racetrack has the best concession stand food in your opinion?
Ooh. Probably Eldora overall, but Wisconsin typically has great burgers. Any of them.
And this one's kind of funny, especially for the fans who follow along on Twitter, but do you enjoy being Hunter Schoenberg's passenger princess?
I love being a passenger princess. Driving is not fun. I mean, it kind of comes with the territory doing this, but I would much rather ride.
And you kind of mentioned about golf, so what's the best game of golf you've ever played?
84.
Ooh. All right, and the last question we got for you is, what's a hidden talent or a fun fact that race fans might not know about you?
Ooh. Hidden talent. There's actually a bunch. I have ADHD, so like I always pick up new stuff. Like I can solve a Rubik's Cube in like less than a minute. I can juggle. Trying to think of the other ones. There's probably a bunch I forgot. There's just so many weird little things like that. I would say are hidden talents.
Yeah, we might have to do this when you come to Ohsweken or something. Put you to the test.
Yeah, I might have to study out for a while. I might not be able to do it in a minute. Yeah, it's just you just remember. I mean, there's like 30 or 40 whatever algorithms, and you just remember those.
Good for you.
Yeah, those are still solid answers, Zach. And before we let you go, just wanted to know if there was any update on that Bill Rose truck stolen situation. That was pretty crazy out in Kennedale, Texas. Is there any updates on that?
I mean, no. I'm sure it's either in parts in Mexico or Roberto's got a new truck in Mexico. I mean, it's gone. I'm sure it was gone within a few hours. I mean, they had it on camera. Like a car pulled in. They jumped. Like one guy got out and broke into the driver's side door and got it going. And I didn't see the video. Bill had it from. I mean, they were parked under a streetlight in a hotel parking lot. So he said they weren't there 3 or 4 minutes, and it was gone. Easy. So the worst part was all the trailer keys were in it. So Bill had the keys to the truck, but he had to have a locksmith come unlock the back door. And his spare set was here in Indy. So like he just couldn't lock the trailer all week. But he had to, there was like a day or half a day where he couldn't get into the trailer because the keys were in the console.
Wild. That's crazy.
Yeah. So definitely unfortunate. I think he'd just put new tires on it. Just stupid stuff.
We really appreciate you coming on with us, Zach, and look forward to seeing you in about a month at Eldora for Let's Race 2. Then you'll probably be getting sick of seeing me around the track by the time the end of May rolls around. But thanks again for doing this, man. We'll catch up with you in a few weeks.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
After the Scales is proudly presented by DJD Graphics. From commercial and personal vehicles to racing bikes and cars of all makes, models, and disciplines, DJD Graphics can fully customize your vehicle to suit your needs. For more information, contact Darren and visit his website at www.djdgraphics.com. Tell him Shaun and Jacob sent you to receive special rates.